Wilhelmus van Nassouwe, usually known just as the Wilhelmus English translation. The William is the national anthem of the Kingdom of the Netherlands and the oldest known national anthem in the world. The national anthem of Japan, Kimigayo, has the oldest lyrics, dating from the 9th century. However, a melody was only added in the late 19th century, making it a poem rather than an anthem for most of its lifespan. Although the Wilhelmus was not recognized as the official national anthem until 1932, it has always been popular with parts of the Dutch population and resurfaced on several occasions in the course of Dutch history before gaining its present status. It was also the anthem of the Netherlands Antilles from 1954 to 1964. Like many anthems, the Wilhelmus originated in the nation's struggle to achieve independence. It tells of the father of the nation, William of Orange, who was stadtholder in the Netherlands under the King of Spain. In the first person, as if quoting himself, William tells about both the outer conflict, the Dutch revolt, as well as his own inner struggle. On one hand, he tries to be faithful to the King of Spain. On the other hand, he is above all faithful to his conscience, to serve God and the Dutch people. This is made apparent in the 8th stanza, where the comparison is made between the biblical David, who serves under the tyrannic King Saul, and William, who serves under the King of Spain. His David defeats the unjust Saul and is rewarded by God with the kingdom of Israel. The unknown writer of the lyrics is suggesting that William will be rewarded a kingdom too, being either of both the Netherlands and the kingdom of God. Both the Wilhelmus and the Dutch revolt should be seen in the light of the Reformation in Europe in the 16th century, and the resulting prosecution of Protestants by the Spanish Inquisition in the Low Countries, then part of the Spanish Empire. Protestant propagandists across Europe found that music proved useful in generating class-transcending social cohesion, and in lampooning Roman clerks and repressive monarchs. The Wilhelmus stands as the preeminent example of this militant music. It combines a psalmic character with political relevancy. Inception. Authorship. Melody. The melody of the Wilhelmus was borrowed from a well-known Roman Catholic French song titled Autre chanson de la ville de Chartres assiégée par le Prince de Condé, or in short, Chartres. This song ridiculed the failed siege of Chartres in 1568 by the Huguenot Prince de Condé during the French Wars of Religion. However, the triumphant contents of the Wilhelmus is the opposite of the content of the original song, making it subversive at several levels. Thus, the Dutch Protestants had taken over an anti-Protestant song and adapted it into propaganda for their own agenda. In that way, the Wilhelmus was typical for its time, since it was common practice in the 16th century for warring groups to steal each other's songs in order to rewrite them. Even though the melody stems from 1568, the first known written down version of it comes from 1574. In the time the anthem was sung in a much quicker pace. Dutch composer Adrian Valerius recorded the current melody of the Wilhelmus in his Nederlandsche Gedenklank in 1626, slowing down the melody's pace probably to allow it to be sung in churches. The current official version is the 1932 arrangement by Walther. Authorship. Lyrics. The origins of the lyrics are uncertain. The Wilhelmus was first written sometime between the start of the 80 Years' War in April 1568 and the capture of Brielle on the 1st of April 1572, making it at least 443 to 444 years old. Soon after the anthem was finished, it was said that either Philips of Marnix, a writer, statesman and former mayor of Antwerp, or Dirk Cornet, a politician and theologian, wrote the lyrics. However, this is disputed, as both Marnix and Cornet never mentioned that they wrote the lyrics. This is strange since the song was immensely popular in the time. The Wilhelmus also has some odd rhymes in it. In some cases the vowels of certain words were altered to allow them to rhyme with other words. Some see this as evidence that neither monarchs nor cornet wrote the anthem, as they were both experienced poets when the Wilhelmus was written, and they would not have taken these small liberties. Hence some believe that the lyrics of the Dutch national anthem were the creation of someone who just wrote one poem for the occasion and then disappeared from history. A French translation of the Wilhelmus appeared around 1582. Recent stylometric research mentioned Petrus Dathianus as a possible author of the text of the Dutch national anthem. Dutch and Flemish researchers discovered by chance a striking number of similarities between his style and the style of the national anthem, structure and interpretation. The complete text comprises 15 stanzas. The anthem is an acrostic. The first letters of the 15 stanzas formed the name Wilhelm van Nassouwe. In the current Dutch spelling, the first words of the 12th and 13th stanzas begin with Z instead of S. Like many of the songs of the period, it has a complex structure composed around a thematic chiasmus. The text is symmetrical, in that verses 1 and 15 resemble one another in meaning, as do verses 2 and 14, 3 and 13, etc., until they converge in the 8th verse. The heart of the song, O David, thou soughtest shelter from King Saul's tyranny. Even so I fled this welter, where the comparison is made between the biblical David and William of Orange as merciful and just leader, between the tyrant King Saul and the Spanish crown, and between the promised land of Israel granted by God to David and the Netherlands. The last two lines of the first stanza, however, indicate that the leader of the Dutch civil war against the Spanish Empire, of which they were part, had no specific quarrel with King Philip II of Spain, but rather with his emissaries in the Low Countries, like Fernando Alvarez de Toledo, 3rd Duke of Alba. This may have been because at the time it was uncommon to publicly doubt the divine right of kings, who was accountable to God alone. In 1581 the Netherlands nevertheless rejected the legitimacy of the King of Spain's rule over it in the Act of Abjuration. Duchen in the first stanza as a reference to William's roots, whose modern Dutch equivalent, Duits, exclusively means German, may refer to William's ancestral house to the lands of the Holy Roman Empire, including the Netherlands. But most probably it is simply a reference to the broader meaning of the word, which points out William as a native of the fatherland, as opposed to the King of Spain, who was seldom and not in the Netherlands. The prince thus states that his roots are Germanic rather than Romance, in spite of his being Prince of Orange in France as well. See also Theodiscus and Low Countries. Performance. History. Though only proclaimed the national anthem in 1932, the Wilhelmus already had a centuries-old prior history. It had been sung on many official occasions and at many important events since the outbreak of the Dutch Revolt in 1568, such as the Siege of Haarlem in 1573 and the ceremonial entry of the Prince of Orange into Brussels on the 18th of September 1578. It has been claimed that during the gruesome torture of Balthazar Gerard in 1584, the song was sung by the guards who sought to overpower Gerard's screams when boiling pig's fat was poured over him. Gerard allegedly responded, "Sing, Dutch sinners, sing, but know that soon I shall be sung of." Another legend claims that following the navigation acts the Wilhelm was sung by the sailors on the Dutch flagship Brederode in response to the first warning shot fired by an English fleet under Robert Blake, when their captain Martin Tromper refused to lower his flag. At the end of the song, which coincided with the third English warning shot, Tromp fired a full broadside, thereby beginning the Battle of Goodwin Sands and the First First Anglo-Dutch War. During the Dutch Golden Age, it was conceived essentially as the anthem of the House of Orange-Nassau and its supporters, which meant, in the politics of the time, the anthem of a specific political faction which was involved in a prolonged struggle with opposing factions. Therefore, the fortunes of the song paralleled those of the Orangist faction. Trumpets played the Wilhelmus when Prince Maurits visited Breda, and again when he was received in state in Amsterdam in May 1618. When William V arrived in Schoonhoven in 1787, after the authority of the stadholders had been restored, the church bells are said to have played the Wilhelmus continuously. After the Batavian Revolution, inspired by the French Revolution, it had come to be called the Prince's March as it was banned during the rule of the Patriots, who did not support the House of Orange-Nassau. However, at the foundation of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in 1813, the Wilhelmus had fallen out of favor, having become monarchs with a claim to represent the entire nation and stand above factions. The House of Orange decided to break with the song which served them as heads of a faction, and the Wilhelmus was hence replaced by Hendrik Tollen's song Wien Nederlands, Bloed door de Adrenvliet, which was the official Dutch anthem from 1815 till 1932. However, the Wilhelmus remained popular and lost its identification as a factional song, and on the 10th of May 1932, it was decreed that on all official occasions requiring the performance of the national anthem, the Wilhelmus was to be played, thereby replacing Tollen's song. Currently, the Wilhelmus is played only once at a ceremony or whatever other event, and, if possible, it is to be the last piece of music to be played. When receiving a foreign head of state or emissary, the Dutch anthem may not be played unless a member of the Dutch royal house is present. This is virtually unique in the world, as most countries play the anthem of the foreign relation followed by their own anthem. During international sport events, such as the World Cup, UEFA European Football Championship, and the Olympic Games, the Wilhelmus is also played. In nearly every case, the first and sixth stanza, or the first stanza alone, have sung, played rather than the entire song, which would result in about 15 minutes of music. The Wilhelmus is also widely used in Flemish nationalist gatherings as a symbol of cultural unity with the Netherlands. Yearly rallies like the IJsselmeer de Vaart and the Vlaams Nationale Zangfest close with singing the sixth stanza, after which the Flemish national anthem, De Vlaams Leeuw, is sung. Variations are an important set of variations on the melody of Wilhelmus van Nassouwe is that by the blind carillon player Jacob van Eyck in his mid-17th century collection of variations Der Fluiten Lust Hot. The royal anthem of Luxembourg, called De Wilhelmus, has a shared origin with the Dutch anthem Het Wilhelmus. It is in official use since 1919, and was first used in Luxembourg on the occasion of the visit of the Dutch King and Grand Duke of Luxembourg William III in 1883. Later, the anthem was played for Grand Duke Adolf of Luxembourg along with the national anthem. The melody is very similar, but not identical to that of the Wilhelmus, since the melody of the latter has been adapted considerably in history. The melody is used, with rewritten English lyrics, as the alma mater of Northwestern College in Orange City, Iowa, USA. Northwestern College is associated with the historically Dutch Christian denomination the Reformed Church in America. Orange City, the college's location, is named for the House of Orange. Small local governmental districts, townships, are named Nassau, Holland and East Orange. Lyrics. The Wilhelmus was first printed in a Guzelit book, literally, Beggar's Song Book, in 1581. It used the following text as an introduction to the Wilhelmus. ENIEUW christelijke Lied gemma ecterieren des Doorluchtischen Heren. Here Wilhelm Prince van Oranje Grave van Nassau, Patris Patria, Meinen Gene Digen Forsten en de Heren. War van de eerste capital letteren van elk weer zinnigene digen vorstens name met brengen, naar de Wijdse van Chartres, a new Christian song made in the honor of the most noble Lord William Prince of Orange, Count of Nassau Pater Patria, my merciful Prince and Lord, of which the first capital letter of each stanza form the name of his merciful Prince. To the melody of Chartres.